Now, Somalia's breakaway autonomous region, Somaliland, has denied allegations that it will take in displaced Palestinians or host an Israeli military base. The Somali government said the deal had been done in exchange for Israel's decision last week to recognise the breakaway region as an independent and sovereign state. The Israeli decision has been widely condemned by the international community, including regional powers. Here's a look at what makes Somaliland so important.
Celebrations in Somaliland's capital city after Israel said it recognized the breakaway region's sovereignty. Somaliland declared independence more than 30 years ago and has its own police force and currency. It's been stable and much more peaceful than the rest of Somalia, which has struggled with an insurgency from Islamist militants. Somaliland argues that it willfully joined into a union with Somalia after colonial independence, and thus has the right to withdraw from that union. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held a call with Somaliland's president last week.
I think this will be a great opportunity for expanding our partnership. We intend to work together with you on economic fields, on agriculture, in the fields of social development, all the things that we hope we can assist you, and we obviously believe in this friendship.
But Israel also has strategic reasons for developing its relationship with Somaliland. A partnership that included stationing Israeli military forces in the region could give Israel access to the Gulf of Aden, a key shipping corridor, and allow it to attack Houthi rebels in Yemen, who have been launching missiles at Israel and attacking commercial ships in the Gulf. Israel's recognition of Somaliland has been condemned by Somalia, the African Union, and much of the international community. The African Union's principles hold that borders inherited from Africa's colonial past must be kept intact. There are also worries that recognition could set a precedent for other breakaway regions around the world.
And it was a violation, blatant violation, against the Somali sovereignty and the territorial integrity. Yes, the Somaliland, that region is part of Somalia. The people have some grievances. The Somali government has never tried to force them. We have been trying to negotiate and resolve the differences in a very peaceful manner and through dialogue.
Israel is itself facing international isolation, so its move is unlikely to spur other countries to follow suit. But its recognition of Somaliland has injected more uncertainty into an already volatile region.
Let's explore this with Matt Bryden. He's a co-founder of Sahan Global. That's an organisation specialising in governance, politics and security in the Horn of Africa. Welcome to DW. Let's start with your thoughts on this Israeli move to recognise Somaliland.
Well, it's clearly not just an Israeli move. I mean, Israel has taken the lead, but there are a number of governments, including the United States and the United Arab Emirates, who have been aware of Israel's intentions for some time, possibly others as well. And so this looks like what actually some Western diplomats have described as an icebreaker. There have been many governments interested in engaging more intensively with Somaliland, but they haven't wanted to be the first to do so. And Israel's recognition may open the path for more governments to follow suit.
And why do you believe that these countries want to do so, want to improve their relations with Somaliland? And if they do, why are they so hesitant to do it publicly?
Well, it's a very complex issue and in a volatile region. Somaliland sits on the Gulf of Aden. It controls about 850 kilometers of coastline facing the coast of Yemen. These are one of the most important shipping lanes on the planet. And so strategically, there's no question that Somaliland is strategically placed, but there is concern about its recognition destabilizing the Horn of Africa, because it's been a very long time since the African continent has accepted a new member state. Somaliland is also fighting al-Shabaab, the Islamic State in Somalia, and is now confronting infiltration by the Ansar Allah or the Houthi group from Yemen. And those may also be reasons why Israel is taking an interest, and some of Israel and the United States partners as well.
Okay, so Israel takes a greater interest. Israel opens the door potentially to other regional powers recognizing Somaliland. Somaliland, though, says it will not take in displaced Palestinians and it will not allow Israel to establish a military base in the region. Do you have any reason to doubt those Somaliland denials?
No, I don't, because the acceptance of refugees from Gaza would be potentially destabilizing for Somaliland. It would be deeply unpopular domestically, despite the way Somalilanders have welcomed Israel's recognition. At the same time, I think if we look at Israel's foreign or its external defense policy, the establishment of significant military bases abroad is not a trait. And what we might expect is more that Israel would want to have listening bases and intelligence cooperation. But the idea of a Israeli military base is I think, at this point stretched. On the other hand, we have a UAE military presence. We've had American military visits, and that may be part of a wider, more coordinated engagement with Somaliland.
Okay, thanks for talking us through that, Matt. Matt Bryden from Sahan Global.
Thank you.
Well, for more on this, we can talk now with Samira Guide. She's a senior Horn of Africa analyst with Balkis Insights, a Somalia-based consultancy, and she's also a former security advisor to the Prime Minister of Somalia. Thanks for being with us. Samira, tell us a little more about Somaliland and the specific region where it's located. What's different about it compared to the rest of Somalia?
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, first of all. And Somaliland, like the story before me just analyzed, is a breakaway region of Somalia. Historically, it was part of Somalia up until 1991, where they declared self-independence when there was a civil war that broke out in Somalia. And since then, they have been more or less self-governing. And for that period of time, almost 34 years now, they've been seeking recognition from countries, from the international community. And this is the first time that any member of the international community has actually come out and recognized them. This is, of course, aside from Taiwan. And the reason why it's so critical at the moment, I would say that it hasn't been so important, is because the Red Sea arena has become very strategic to not just Israel, but to many other Western countries and the Gulf states. It's all about that trade corridor and how to secure that trade corridor in light of the crisis in Yemen and what happened with Gaza.
Now, Somaliland declared its independence in the early 90s, as you mentioned, but the international community really hasn't recognized it as a state, as you've pointed out, but Israel's decided to break ranks and recognize it. What do you see as the motivation for Israel taking this step right now?
You know, Israel had a chance over the past 34 years to do this, and it never did this. And I think the reason why they have taken this time is because there's increasing, especially disorder and unilateralism globally. That's one thing. But secondly, as I mentioned, that trade corridor has become very critical. And it's also a space where you can actually demonstrate strategic depth. So many other Gulf countries and Western nations have set up bases along that area, specifically in Djibouti. No one has made it into Somaliland, which is seen as a stable, non-hostile entity. And so I think this is a first step to allowing other countries to also try and access that territory.
There's been speculation that Israel would try to send displaced Gazans to Somaliland. Somaliland's president says they won't take in Gazans and there won't be any Israeli military base inside the territory in exchange for this recognition. What else could Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's prime minister, be interested in, if not those things?
I think for Somalis and for most of us analysts, we recognize it first as possibly a base for Israeli forces in future, a base through which they could possibly launch attacks on the Houthis, a space in which they could also compete with the Gulf actors. This is really at the entry to the Red Sea, and it's a place where Israel can really show the other Gulf actors that they're no longer an option and that they do have an option, an ally just before the Red Sea. So I think it's more about that, but I really do not see a move towards settling displaced Gazans. But the idea about not having a military base, I really doubt that will not come to fruition.
Samira, thank you very much. That was Samira Guide of Balki's Insights.